G'day. These lights are right up here. Thanks very much for being invited along with the VFA. I'm Steve Trelly. Give you a little bit of a rundown. Actually, I'll touch on Vic Fish kids that were here yesterday. I think there was about 200 of the kids went through yesterday, and I think there was about 100 trout caught. So it was really good event. It was excellent to be down there with the kids catching fish. They had it cordoned off with some netting, and they put some trout in there, and they had a ball. All the kids were down there. One young girl actually had like this carp was about that big. And it took about 45 minutes to run up and down. The kids are pulling the rods out and jumping around and all that type of stuff. So, and she ended up busting it off, but that's okay. But yeah, it was really good. So, so that was something that sort of happened yesterday. It hasn't been sort of covered, but it was a very successful event. So yeah. Karen, thank you very much. Going to be my wing girl. I can't press buttons and look at things at the same time. So yeah. A little bit about where I've been. 35 years in the industry with a shop here in Shepparton. I've represented a few different boards and things like that. I've been on the Australian Fishing Traders Association for 6 years. In that position, we travelled around Australia, met with various ministers from state to federal and worked on recreational fishing problems or solving recreational fishing things with outcomes that would be advantageous to both the recreational fisher and sustainable outcomes as far as fish populations and how things are managed around Australia. So that was very good. Took me up to Canberra, talked up there on fishing at Canberra, and I've had a bit of a talk in the state parliament down here in Victoria. And go to the next one, thank you, Karen. And like I say, all the things that come out of those talks is all about sustainable recreational fishing practices, and for all stakeholders who have a part in that. Getting a voice and actually working on things to advance our recreational fishing, so it's been really good. Family, you see up there, I've got my wife Mary, who's in the crowd over here. I've got my daughter and little son Charlie there, who'll probably feature in a couple of photos. Son took the photo with Maddie, and I've got another grandson, another one on the way. So, and we're all invested into the shop, and we all do our own part as far as marketing. Jacqueline does the bookwork for the 4 stores. Mary babysits now a lot and does the clothing in the shop. So that's it's a real family-run business, and that's all we've done for years and years and years. So every part of our life revolves around our store and what we do as recreational fishers and hunters. So yeah, new products. There we go. We're going to cover a few of these probably in a bit more detail, but you can see the parrot, right? Now, you might say it's a new product, but it's probably an old product. You know, the aeroplane spinner used to, go around the slug gun and shoot a rosella and put him on the back of an aeroplane spinner and tow him up and down the river. Well, it's not new, is it? We've been doing it for years. So they've gone, a little bit more, upbeat. We've made a plastic one now. So yeah, he flaps on top of the water and does all this crazy stuff. So yeah, and you can see the other lures there. Creativity as far as it goes, trying to match what the fish eat. And then there's things like Yorick was saying with a spinner bait that looks nothing like anything in the river, but fish bite it because it's purple. So, and that type of thing. So, and we'll cover some of the essential bits and pieces and things that we use when we go fishing. So yeah, new innovation, new rods, new reels. It all comes down to new anglers, and new anglers can come from any stage of life. They can be, the child is starting off at 4 or 5 years or younger. It can be a guy who has gone to college there and his first experience is probably in his 20s. Young George Adams there from Shepparton, and now he's gone on board a fishing boat. So he's going to be poor for the rest of his life. He's just about going to. So it doesn't mean anything new in fishing, and the whole concept of what we're talking about here today is new in fishing. It's one of those things. It's like a 5-year-old getting his grandfather's rod and reel given to him. It's new. It doesn't have to be a new rod and reel off the shelf. It doesn't have to be anything like that. It can be anything that you're given. It could be a new concept that's actually an old concept, but it falls into a bracket now you can afford it. So it's new to you. So all these things in fishing that we cover, there's my son down here who's with the Scouts and teaching kids how to fish. So, and there was another random shot there before, which is down the Vic Lake at the a fishing competition in town here. So there's a lot of things about new. So there's a lot of buzzwords about new. You go to the trade show and they've got new buzzwords, and they're things like nanomaterial in some of the rods. So if we get down to technical things, and probably what some of you to come here to listen to is new might be new product. So new product and some of the development in new product is progress in materials. It's making the materials lighter and stronger, and sometimes it's actually pinpointing those rods into different categories. So you probably had a series of rods over the years where you got and bought, I want a rod that catches Murray cod. We eat all the time. I want a rod. Oh, yeah, what are you doing? Oh, I'm catching Murray cod. Oh, you need this one. Oh, I could catch yellow belly. Oh, you need that one. Oh, you need this one in the middle that does everything. Oh, right, that's what I need. So, but it gets a bit more technical, and the companies, the major companies now, are refining their materials. Some companies do rods and reels as their major manufacturing, and then there's other companies that just do rods. One of the Miller rods, Carl Jacobson was here a couple of years ago. Now he uses Miller rods, and he uses Miller rods because that's all they make. And some of the materials they use in these rods are getting better, stiffer, lighter. They give you better feedback. They use buzzwords like monocoque, which is that handle on the other side, which gives you more sensitivity and more feedback down your rod for all your bites and all your, you might have the line going over a log or a snag and you can feel it coming up and all that type of thing. So there's a lot of technology going into rods that we see behind the scenes, and they're coming out into the rods that we see now. So, like I say, they're trying to pinpoint the rods, and what they're doing is they're trying to actually get a rod to suit a certain lure weight. I had some rods set up out there, and I've got a couple of them here. If you want to select one of them for us, Karen. And what you'll find is they're making a rod for like, and you read on the button it says it's made for 26 grams or it's made for 1 ounce. And you go along the wall and you go, oh yeah, which lure is the 26 ounce one? It doesn't label it, right? Or where's the 1 ounce lure? And some are like 2 ounce to 6 ounce ones. So what we've done here, we've matched up a few rods and reels, and we've put the lure which matches the rating on the rod, right? So if you want to go and have a feel of them after, we'll throw them out there. But what it does, it pinpoints it, right? So if you look at that diagram there, and it's probably a little bit misleading that you've got your different tapers, but this one over here, if you'd imagine casting, say, from 3 o'clock position, and you want to actually get a cast that you're matching up your lure to your rod, once you get to that 3 o'clock position, you go to sort of like 2 o'clock, your rod loads. By the time you get to 12 o'clock, it's almost caught up, the tip's almost caught up. Once you get to 11 o'clock, your tip's actually gone past you. Once you get to 10:30, it's actually flicked it for you. Right, so that's a perfect match with a rod and a lure. So it does the work for you. So you've just got to roll the rod, it'll load, and it'll beat you to the end of the cast. And that'll do it, that'll pitch a rod for you. So when you're doing that, if it doesn't do that, what you'll find is if your rod bends all the way through the cast, right, and it's bent all the way through to the end and then just flips off at the end, you might as well use that end to cast with, is that end. It's the same speed. It's just one's bent all the way through and one's stiff all the way through. So that's why a lot of your companies now will actually manufacture rods, and they really pinpoint the rods. And you'll pick up one that's like a 1 ounce rod, and you'll pick it up and you'll give it a bit of a flick and you go, oh yeah, that's pretty good. And you pick up the next one and you go, that's the same as that one. No, it's not, it's a little bit different. It's just different enough to be a totally different rod for a totally different lure. So as far as technology and new things go, it's probably not new, they're doing it, but they're getting it better. They're getting all these rods better, and they're getting the technology behind them, it's getting a lot better. Same with reels. Buzzword Hagani, right? Sounds like a Japanese noodle dish, but what it is, it's a process that's a single forged piece of material, cold forged piece of material that they make the bodies out of. So, and what that does, it actually makes a reel stronger, actually makes it more rigid, makes the body of the reel stiffer and lighter. And what it does is when you wind a reel, if it twists or moves in any way or distorts, it then puts pressure on all your working shafts, on all your ball bearings, and it slows it down and offers resistance. So the more they can make a stiffer reel, or the material can be stiffer, it just eliminates all that, which gives you a much smoother reels. I mean, some of the reels they use nowadays, you can literally pick them up, spin the handle, close your eyes, and you don't even know they're going around. You just cannot pick that they're actually going around. They're just amazing, absolutely amazing. And what happens with these companies, and I know we've got brand names up there, but it's the Holden Forward thing. Well, probably not Holden anymore, but it's they're just leapfrogging technology. So one's better 1 year to the next year, and then one will come out with something better. So that's the sort of technology that brings into some of the reels nowadays, and they get better and better and better. And we'll show you a little quick clip on a quick clip here in a minute. But this one's a 13 reel. Now, we've got these 13 reels now. In a baitcaster reel, for you guys who want to chase big cod, these things here have got 40-pound drag pressure. So you can wind it up to 40-pound drag pressure. So what we did is we got one of the reels at work, put the line on it, put 40-pound drag pressure, and we give it a pull, and what happened? I broke the line. Because when you get bigger pressures on your reels, I didn't step up my line. I should have stepped up to 50-pound line, and I should have probably tied a better knot. So then you create other problems. But that's learning, that's new. So that's good. But they're getting some of these reels, they're just mad. They're just some of the ratings on them are just getting absolutely crazy. So you'll see that come through. We'll just have a quick look at the DC.
Introducing Shimano DC Braking. The new DC brake is constructed to provide trouble-free casting to anglers. Conventional braking systems require a substantial amount of thumbing to prevent backlash. But DC brake eliminates trouble and reduces thumbing. DC brake provides ultra-long distance for anglers with less thumbing and trouble. Let's see the mechanism of DC brake. When the spool starts to revolve, an electric current is generated through the coil. The intelligent microcomputer constantly measures spool speed and controls it to prevent backlash. The DC brake system doesn't require any batteries or charging. The microcomputer measures and controls spool revolution at 1/1000th of a second intervals and applies the appropriate amount of brake to prevent backlash. This is an actual casting scene. DC brake can provide trouble-free casting for a wide variety of lures and conditions by simply adjusting the external brake dial.
Right, so that actual technology has probably been around for about 10 years, 12 years. But the thing is, the fishing reel itself was $1,000. So it's not new to anybody really who knows their tackle, but now it's down to around about $400 as a fishing reel. So it's still not a cheap reel, but it's new to everyone who can afford that reel. So new in fishing tackle, there it is. You don't have to be out there buying the latest and greatest thing. Things will come to you over a big period of time. So yeah, this is a lure now. You'll see this lure swimming. So we'll swap some reels, we'll cover that. These are some of the lures now. This particular lure here, and all lures are made a little bit different, but it's got a weight transfer system in it. So the weight transfer system goes front to back, and what it is, when you cast, if you cast it, that weight the weight in it goes to the tail of the lure and actually works and pinpoints your target spot that you want to do. You'll find that some of the cod lures, they've got big bibs on them. You get a bit of a cast, a bit of a headwind, and they'll flick off and they'll catch the headwind and they'll shoot off in different directions. So that eliminates that type of thing. There's not many lures like that. And you'll also see when it was swimming, it's going like this, but that front lure was hanging basically untouched. It was hanging through the water. That was something that actually came. It's a saltwater lure, basically, body made into a freshwater shape and design. So that's one of the things there. Technology, you've got things like the ballista lure here. Now, that comes with its own recharger. Right? The front bib, the toe point here, you can actually recharge that, and it's got a vibrator in it. So you cast that out. Who's laughing over here? You cast that out, right? You retrieve that on top of the water. It comes with 3 different bibs, right? And it actually goes on. You can pause that. Now, Cam was talking about pausing, but when you pause that one, it'll vibrate in the water. Stop. It'll vibrate in the water and stop. And you'll get something like 20 hours out, and you get something like 200 charges out of it before you go another one. So that's a little bit of technology coming through, you'll see. It's probably, I reckon 20 years ago, there was a lure I had come out from the States, and you pulled a little wire and it sang a song. And I don't know if it caught fish or not, but anyway, it was different. That was 20 years ago. Spinnerbaits. Spinnerbaits, the guys who make spinnerbaits, and if you're looking for something new, are constantly trying out, what can you do with a spinnerbait, you think? It's constantly trying out new wires, because the new wires that come through, some are titanium, Some are made of different materials. Brad out here has got some good samples of some nice spinnerbaits there, and they're constantly changing it because one lure of of a certain weight will require a certain wire in it to give you that feedback through there, and it'll give it a little throb through there. But if you go to a little bit heavier spinnerbait, you might require to change that wire to give the same effect. And that little pulse through the water can be strategic as far as catching fish, and that's been proven. Like Glenn from Bassman does a lot with that with Carl Jacobson over in the States. So that's something that sort of has always worked on as far as some of these guys behind the scenes. You just pick up a spinnerbait, you just think it's a spinnerbait. They're constantly working, their heads are going around, trying to find things and different stuff to work with. So all that sort of stuff. Live screening. This is when we talk about technology, new stuff. This is actually a fish finder that's live. So it's there, you can see a shadow, so you can see the fish come along the top. It's a swallow-tailed cod. So you'll notice the difference between a normal cod. No one's laughing. But you'll see those, like that technology is now, so all this live fishing, you're in a spot, you're over at Epilock, and you can see, I think Karen witnessed the guys over there using some of these sounders, and there's meter cod over there that people probably didn't even think was in there. So again, these companies will leapfrog each other with technology. You'll probably find another company coming out before Christmas which will have the same thing, but the clarity will get better. And then the clarity, someone will leapfrog that and they'll have another option and the clarity will get better. So when we talk about new things, there's one of the things that's probably going to come around very quickly. Essential things that I'd probably put in the boat and I go, I just feel naked without these, right? So one is a good set of braid scissors for cutting off all your knots and things. So I'd go that as one of the things. A big set of pliers, like a 10-inch set of pliers, it's got a bent nose on it. So when you actually catch a fish and you're trying to remove that lure out of a fish, like that there, and you're trying to grab that set of hooks at the back, you want a set of pliers so big that doesn't give a head shake and those ones end up in your fingers. So I always say essential fishing, braid scissors, pliers, and then you've got your fish-friendly net. Now your fish-friendly net, it could be a material of any type, but it's always covered or coated with some type of plastic which is fish-friendly to handling fish and all that type of things. You've got all the other stuff which is easy to mention, sunscreen, or it's just pretty basic, but I find that those are my essentials. Looking forward to the future. Right, here we go. Now here's Sharpie and Russell, the new Fisheries and Wildlife Police up here. We're giving them new uniforms. So I reckon, I'm just giving you a snapshot into the future, and I reckon they're going to have drones running up and down the rivers checking your licences. We've got them in the bays, I think, you guys. You pick up near a boat and you can tell which licences are in the boat. You've got 2 licences in the boat. And this is the rumour file I'm into now. So I reckon they're going to have that. Slime detector. All right, they're going to have the slime detector. Now what I say by the slime detector is, this is interesting too because you've got UV on lures. Now you can see that. Some of you blokes would know when you went to the disco and you wear those fancy shirts that come up like this, that type of thing. So you'll see these on the movies, at a crime scene where they go around and see if there's any hanky-panky stuff going on. Right? I reckon these guys, Sharpie and Russell, they'll have the slime detectors, so they'll go, catch any fish, mate? No. Now let's have a look, Oh, slid one across the front of your pants, did you? I can see the trail going down up underneath the cowling of your motor. So that's something a bit of future. Another one, stickers that talk. I reckon you'll get a sticker in your boat and you put it on there and it'll measure your fish. It'll tell you how much it weighs. It'll tell you if it's male or female. It'll tell you if it's come from the Darling River. It'll tell you all this stuff and it'll zoom it up into a cloud and the Fish and Wildlife will get it and it'll be your science, your citizen science. So I reckon that's going to happen. So yeah, and Yabby pot parking sensors, that's a good one. You've got to have that. Hey, it's 15 Yabbies in my pot, 20, back to 15, better get them out. So I thought I'd just cover a little bit of futuristic stuff that was running around my head at 3 o'clock in the morning the other day. So yeah, I thought I'd write down. So look, that's what it is. But look, I think calling the session new and essential gear, every day, as it says there, every day you fish is a new experience. That can just take you anywhere. It's your first fishing experience. It's pulling your first flat out and then catching your first lure on surface. It's travelling to your fishing spot. It's preparing to go fishing. It's catching your bait. Someone said, "Oh, we don't catch your bait anymore, we use shoots." But that's part of the thing. It's new. It's new every time you come out. Every time you go fishing, it's all new. It doesn't matter if it's your grandfather's rod and reel to a kid. It's new. It doesn't matter if you've fished that same log 100 times. You'll go down and go, "Oh, he busted me off last time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change my rig and I'm going to fish this way. All right? Or I'm going to do this." So every time you go back that snag, you're going to be there and it's going to be new to you. So, look, like I say, just finishing off, fishing, it builds families, it builds well-being. It's easy to do. You just got to get off the couch and get out there, and it's just new every time you go. Every time you go. So I'd just like to end up, and thanks very much for listening, and that's the end.